Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 3, text number 18. Tata Agni Driye Shakalaya Atmatulyam Anupalabhamanaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Since I cannot find anyone equal to me, I shall personally expand myself into a plenary portion and thus advent myself in the womb of Meru Devi, the wife of Maharaj Nabhi, the son of Agnidra. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is an example of the omnipotence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although He is one without a second, He expands Himself by Swamsha, His personal expansion, and sometimes by Vibhinnamsha, or His separated expansion. Lord Vishnu herein agrees to send His personal expansion as the son of Meru Devi, the wife of Maharaj Nabhi, who is the son of Agnitra. The Ritvijaha, the priests, knew that God is one, yet they prayed for the Supreme Lord to become the son of Maharaj Nabhi, to let the world know that the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is one without a second. When He incarnates, He expands Himself in different potencies. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So we have come to nearly the completion of this chapter. The sages, Ritvijaha, the priests, have completed offering their wonderful prayers, and the Supreme Lord is now responding. Just two verses, what we read last time and this verse. And in this verse, the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who had appeared in the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Nabhi, he's saying, Tata Agnidriye Amshakalaya Avatarishyami Atmatulyam Anupalabha Manaha. Even if you search Atmatulyam Anupalabha Manaha, you will not be able to find someone Atmatulyam, equal to me. That is why in the previous purport, Prabhupada quoted from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, which says, Natat samaschabhyadikascha drishyate. Natat samaha. Natat abhyadika nadrishyase. Tat samaha tad abhyadikaha na drishyate. Whether somebody equal or adhikaha, abhyadikaha, greater than the Lord, tat, nadrishyate, you will not find anywhere. So, this is one of the important Upanishad statement. So, there is no one, atmatulyam anupalabhamanaha. Tataha, therefore, the Lord is saying, Agnidriye amshakalaya avatarishyami. I shall avatarishyami. Agnidriye, I will appear in the womb of Meru Devi, who is the wife of Nabhi, and Nabhi is the son of Agnitra, and Agnitra is the son of Priyavrata. So, this is the whole point. Since I cannot find anyone, Anupalabhamanaha, equal to me, Atmatulyam, I shall personally expand myself into a plenary portion, Amshakalaya, and thus advent myself, Avatarishyami, in the womb of Meru Devi, the wife of Maharaj Nabi, the son of Agnitra. Agnidraye Amshakalaya Avatarishyami. And here in the purport, Prabhupada has revealed some more aspects about the priests, the sages, the Ritvijaha. The Ritvijaha were actually enlightened persons. They knew that God is one without a second. They were aware of the position of the Lord, one without a second. And it was their intention to let the world know that the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is one without a second. So they wanted the world to know, they wanted to establish this in the world, that the Lord is one without a second. And hence, when Maharaj Nabi approached them and said, please do this sacrifice for me on my behalf, so that Vishnu is pleased and I shall have a son who is like the Lord mentioned here in the previous verse, Maya Sadhrusho Bhuyat. Someone who is like the Lord. I want a son. So these sages were great devotees, great personalities, spiritually advanced. And so their offering of prayers and their offering of the performance of the fire sacrifice was pleasing to Vishnu, and Vishnu had appeared. So it is actually the fond desire of the devotee to establish the glories of the Lord in this world. In this world, no one is interested in the glories of the Lord. Everyone is self-centered. Everyone wants to be in the center of every situation. Everyone wants to establish himself or herself as the wonderful personality and be the center of things. But a devotee, on the other hand, wants to establish Krishna as the center of everything in this world. In the spiritual world, that is the situation. Krishna is, everyone's desire is to keep Krishna in the center and to please him. And Krishna reciprocally wants to satisfy the devotees. So this is a very loving, harmonious situation in the spiritual world, where all the devotees want Krishna to enjoy, and Krishna wants all his devotees to be happy and pleased. So this is the competition. You see, the reverse works in the material world. Everyone thinks I should be happy and others need not be happy. Everyone thinks like that. So the acharyas and Srila Prabhupada and the Vedic literatures reveal a different kind of a dynamic that works in the spiritual world, where everyone is charged with a desire to please the Lord. Recently we had the Ratha Yatra of Jagannath, and now of course in Puri, Lord is staying in Gundicha and till he returns to the temple. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in was manifesting his pastimes in Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would personally participate in these Rath Yatras. And one of the occasions, very early after he had returned from South India tour, and the Rath Yatra was going to happen, and he had expressed his, the king of Katak, Prataparudra, who he wanted to come and see the Lord, and the Lord had refused. He had made his request through Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was the head priest of the temple and also the priestly advisor of the king. And so through him, he sent word that I have heard about this young sannyasi from Bengal. And I have heard he is so devoted to Jagannath. And I have heard he does wonderful kirtans. And can I come and see him? And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had made an attempt, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had refused to meet because he considered king to be a materialist, because he has adopted the role and position and name of a king. As a sannyasi, I should not meet. I should not meet a woman, nor should I meet a materialist. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so strict. He was so strict about this conduct. But unfortunately, some of the descendants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a few generations after, it had deteriorated. They had deviated from the strict practice. That is why when Bhaktivinoda Thakur was researching, trying to find out where are the true followers of Chaitanya, and when he was seeing that the so-called followers, they were having all kinds of illicit activities with women and intoxication, he saw that none of them really embodied the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as it is described here. So he was constantly looking, where can I find? Where can I find? And among all the followers of Chaitanya, he found that practically all of them were not. And he recorded, documented, classified that these are all apasampradayas. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did this kirtan, and then at some point, the Ratha stopped and there was an offering to be made. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu moved. He had been singing and dancing with a kirtan party. And he was so tired. There was a upavana, a small garden nearby. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there to rest on an elevated place. It was at that time Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had told Prataparudra, you come there, but don't come in the royal robes. Come as a simple, humble devotee. So Prataparudra had taken off all his royal robes and the crown, and he was in the simple dress of a Vaishnava. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being tired, he was lying with his eyes closed, his heart full of ecstasy after dancing for Jagannath. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya motioned to Prataparudra, now go. Mahaprabhu is lying. You can see his lotus feet. So at that time, Prataparudra, he took the permission from all the other Vaishnavas, silently went there and touched his lotus feet and started massaging the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and started chanting some verses from the Bhagavatam 10th canto, what is known as Gopi Gita. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard that, he said, very good, continue chanting, continue chanting. I don't know who you are. You are giving me so much joy. Continue chanting. And see, this shows Prataparudra was he was also a great devotee. He knew Bhagavata. He was chanting the Gopi Gita prayers. And in the course of that, he comes to one verse, which is a very special verse. Tava katamrutam tapta jivanam kavibhir iditam kalmashapaham Srimadatam bhuvi Srimada kalmashapaham, and then Shravana Mangalam Srimadatam. Shravana Mangalam. This is describing, the gopis describing Tava Katamrutam. They are telling Krishna, your katha, your activities, Tava Katamrutam, Taptha Jivanam, is the life for those who are fed up of the miseries of the material world, who understand this material world is such a miserable place. For them, life is Tava Kathamritam, Taptha Jivanam, Kavibhir Iditam. The most, Kavi means very enlightened people. They describe this. They describe Tava Kathamritam, your narrations of your transcendental pastimes. And such narrations of transcendental pastimes of the Lord, Kalmashapaham, it can remove all the contaminations in the hearts of the living entities. And this Tava Kathamritam is Shravana Mangalam. It brings auspiciousness simply by hearing. And this Tava Kathamritam is Srimat. It is full of spiritual potency. Srimat. And hence, Atatam Bhuvi. Atatam Bhuvi Grunanti. And hence, great personalities, they spread all over the world. See, gopis are talking that your Tava Katamrutam will be spread all over the world. Very interesting. So, Srimadatatam Bhuvi Grunanti Ye Bhuridha Janaha. Bhuri means in abundance. Bhuridha means someone who is very charitable, very munificent. He gives in abundance to others. He gives the highest thing to others. And that is Tava Katamrutam. They spread the glories of the Lord. And they are the most munificent people. Bhuridha Janaha. So, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this verse, when Prataprudra was reciting the Gopi Gita, and when he chanted the Tava Katamrutam Tapta Jivanam verse, Chaitanya, who was hearing, he got up. He came and embraced Prataprudra. He didn't want to even see him. But now he embraced him and he was crying. There were tears coming from his eyes. And Prataprudra was also crying. Oh, what a fortunate situation. Mahaprabhu didn't want to even see me. Now he is embracing me. And he said, you are such a munificent person. You have given me so much joy. Who are you? I don't know. So, this is the desire of the devotees. That they want the glories of the Lord to be broadcast all over the world. Prahlad Maharaj also says in his prayers, there are many great devotees who take to strict vows and they practice to go back to Godhead. But I don't want to go back to Godhead alone, leaving all the ignorant people in the material world. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are important prayers like this of great devotees who point out the importance of spreading the glories of the Lord. And that was the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wanted this to be spread everywhere so that more and more people take to Krishna consciousness and become relieved of the miseries of the material world. And we see that strong spirit in Srila Prabhupada, which he saw in saw the spirit of his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And that was the strong force that Srila Prabhupada went all over the world. This was May 1967. 1965, Prabhupada traveled to the West, to America. And 65, and then 66, after 1 year of struggle, we just observed, July 13th, Prabhupada founded ISKCON, and now he had a rented place and he called that the temple. There were some people, young American boys and girls who were coming there, and he was able to conduct kirtan, he was able to give classes, he was able to distribute prasadam. He was very happy there. And a little while after that, Srila Prabhupada, that was 66. And then Prabhupada went to San Francisco, established a second temple, came back, and he sent one of his disciples to open the third temple in Montreal. Now Prabhupada had 3 temples. And then in 1967, 65, 66, 67, May 31st, Srila Prabhupada again had a heart attack and a stroke. So it was on a holiday, national holiday. Devotees could not find a doctor. With great difficulty, they found a doctor, and then he was taken to the hospital. He was not in the hospital for too long. He came away. He recovered. But he still wanted a better kind of a situation. It was not the best, the treatment, and so he wanted to return to India. So on July 22nd, so very close to the days we are now. So May 31st was his heart attack, and July 22nd, Srila Prabhupada flew from New York to Delhi. So at that time, among the different followers he had one of them was Kirtanananda Das, a brahmachari. And he was very quick. He was a little older also. And he had learned cooking, because that was one of the things that Prabhupada would be cooking and distributing prasadam. So Kirtanananda was the first disciple to learn cooking. And he was very happy to cook. He would always be enthusiastic to cook. And at that time, Prabhupada used to be called Swamiji. He used to jokingly tell, he's a kitchen ananda, because he was very happy to cook and assist Prabhupada. And so when Prabhupada decided to come back to India to recuperate, he chose Kirtanananda to come with him. So Prabhupada and Kirtanananda flew from New York to Delhi. And when they arrived in Delhi, it was hot Delhi climate in July. And Prabhupada was very happy with, with the warm climate. That was very good. But Kirtanananda, it was unbearable for him. So Prabhupada and Kirtanananda was there for 7 days in Chippavadi temple in New Delhi. And after that, Srila Prabhupada told him, I'll show you Vrindavan. And brought him to Vrindavan. And Prabhupada was staying in Radha Damodar temple, his quarters there. And a few weeks later was Janmashtami. And Prabhupada made an arrangement that he would give Kirtanananda sannyas. So, 1966 he had got initiated. 1967 Janmashtami, 1 year. So, Prabhupada gave him sannyas. Kirtanananda Swami gave him the name. And then he wrote a letter to the devotees in New York. Prabhupada writes, Kirtanananda Swami is now a fully Krishna conscious person as he has accepted sannyas on the birthday of Lord Krishna with great success. He is the first sannyasi in my spiritual family, and I hope he will return back home to begin preaching work with great vigor and success. See, this was the hope that Srila Prabhupada had. Now, I have a sannyasi disciple, an American. So it must have created quite a wave in Vrindavan that Bhaktivedanta Swami has returned after 2 years, and he has brought one American disciple, and he has taken sannyas now. So Prabhupada, we can see that his hope, and I hope he will return back to begin preaching work with great vigor and success. So this was the aspiration, this was the hope of Srila Prabhupada. But unfortunately, very soon after taking sannyas, Kirtanananda wanted a certificate of sannyas to be given. He got that from Prabhupada. And then he started giving some of his new ideas for preaching to Prabhupada. And his new ideas were that he said, Swamiji, if we want to spread Krishna consciousness in America, these robes, shaved head, shikha, tilak, all this will not work. We should, people look at us and they're seeing wearing dhoti. They think we are wearing a white bedsheet. That's what devotees did initially. There were no dhotis. The closest to a dhoti they could get was white bed sheets. And they were wearing the white bed sheets. And so people sometimes would make out, hey, these people are wearing white bed sheet. Because people can make out, right? And so Hare Krishnas were known as those people who wear white bed sheets. So he told all this, but then Swamiji said, no, these are all essential features of a Vaishnava. This cannot be given up. But he was a headstrong person. He was insisting. So, and then he wanted to return quickly because it was temperature, heat, and he had dysentery and he was not comfortable. He wanted to come back to America. So seeing that he was very insistent, Prabhupada said, okay, instead of doing this, trying what I want you to try what you are saying. Go to London and establish a temple according to your ideas, and let's see if it will become successful. So this is how Prabhupada was trying to manage. And Prabhupada had one contact of someone in Britain, in London, who had connections with the Gaudiya Math. gave that address to him, made all the arrangements, gave him the money, got the ticket to go to London. And Prabhupada was still hopeful that he will do some preaching to establish a center. After a few days, Prabhupada hears that Kirtanananda changed his ticket. Instead of going to London, he returned to New York. He knew to start a center in London, it will be a lot of hard work. And what will happen? It's better I go back to New York. And there he arrived, not in the sannyasi robes as they were, New York devotees were thinking now he is a sannyasi. He came in black robes, without a shikha, without tilak. And he said that Swamiji has now told me, Swamiji is very old and he is not likely to return. He is old and sick and he is not likely to return. And now he has sent me and he has given me this sannyas, and almost hinting that I am now his successor. So those were all young devotees. They didn't know what to do. And then he started making more changes. And he was telling that now we should all give up these robes, this devotee dhoti and kurta, and we should be like this. And he was himself in the robes of a Christian monk, in black dress and a collar and things like that. And you should know in 1967, not so easy to communicate with Prabhupada in India. And devotees didn't know what to do. They were confused. And then he started introducing, along with the Hare Krishna mantra, Om Namah Shivaya mantra. And so he had these plans how we should de-Indianize Krishna consciousness. And devotees were confused, not knowing what to do. Then some of them wrote to Swamiji, we are hearing that Swami Kirtanananda, and he started calling himself Swami Kirtanananda. Because those days, the benchmark was Swami Vivekananda. He was trying to imitate all those things. And he started wearing a turban occasionally. So all kinds of things like that. And so the devotees wrote to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is there in Vrindavan, hoping that now his first sannyas disciple has now gone to London. He's going to start preaching there. He gets a letter saying that he has landed in New York. And he's doing all these things. Prabhupada was aghast. He didn't know what was going on. And then one by one, devotees started writing letters. Every day he was getting letters and he was understanding what was going on. And then Prabhupada started replying, what Kirtanananda is doing is unauthorized. I have not asked him to do all this. Shikha, dhoti, tilak, these are all essential features of a Vaishnava. These things should not be given up. And then the letter goes from America to Delhi and Delhi to America. It would have taken a month. It went on. August, September, October. Prabhupada is still, you can see in the Veda base, Prabhupada writing all these things. Prabhupada then finally said, Kirtanananda has become a crazy man. He should not be allowed to give classes. Then the devotees got to know that this is something what he is saying is not correct. And then they got together and the temple president was Brahmananda. And he stopped him from coming to the temple. And there was a bit of a kind of a not very pleasant interaction with the devotees, stopping him. And there were a few who were with Kirtanananda who were enamored by his following, by his, his sannyas and he was a kind of a headstrong leader. And so finally, Kirtanananda, Swami, and his close friend was Hayagriva. both of them left. And Hayagriva was an English professor, and so he was editing Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita manuscript. And both of them took away the manuscript and left. The devotees who were aware of it, they wrote to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was shocked. He has taken away the manuscript. There were, 18 chapters. You can imagine all the purports, how much of effort it is. And they had taken away. And then they decided to establish, Kirtanananda and Hayagriva, decided to establish a ashram of their own. And so they were looking for some land, and they came across somebody who was offering some land in West Virginia, and for a long 99 years lease. And they took that land, and he and Hayagriva, they started trying to preach their own thing. At least they were far away from New York. And the devotees in New York, they were getting news from Srila Prabhupada and directions from Srila Prabhupada. They were following that. They tried that for some time. And then when they left, they write to Srila Prabhupada, we are rejecting you. Prabhupada gets a letter saying that I'm rejecting you. And Prabhupada cried, seeing that letter. And then, of course, Srila Prabhupada came back to America. And then after a few months, after trying to do something on their own, they were not successful. They were trying to get people from different cities to come to their community there. And they were trying to build up. It was not successful. After several months, Kirtanananda and Hayagriva write to Srila Prabhupada that, please accept me, I want to come back. And Prabhupada was so gracious, he welcomes them. And then he writes a letter to all the devotees. We should now call him Kirtanananda Maharaj, and we should first, all of you should offer respects to him. And now he has come with sincerity, he should be welcomed. So this is the kind of situations that Srila Prabhupada was actually facing. Soon after establishing ISKCON, and he having a personal heart attack, going back to India, making somebody, one of his disciples, a sannyasi, sending him, and all kinds of difficulties. You can imagine Prabhupada must have been so worried. Those young American devotees, the new temple, what will happen to all of them? So like this, Prabhupada faced one anxious situation after another, after another, after another. If we study on these lines, if we study the letters of Srila Prabhupada and the things that were happening, you will see from one crisis to another crisis to another crisis. Prabhupada's life was like that till 1977. It was not an easy thing. So, Srila Prabhupada took all such hardships. Srimadatattam bhuvi grunanti bhuridha janaha, to spread the glories of the Lord. So, this is the desire of a pure devotee, that he wants to more and more devotees to know about the glories of the Lord, so that they take to Krishna consciousness. They understand the value of human life, and they chant, become Vaishnavas, and prepare themselves to go back to Godhead. This was the spirit. You see, one thing is, from the Vedic literatures, you will get the message. You will get the knowledge. Apart from the knowledge, this Prabhupada explains, you also get the spirit. of the Lord. Prabhupada writes, when we read the Bhagavad Gita in the parampara, then we understand the spirit of Krishna. You see, that is why the spirit of Krishna is that we should surrender to Him. We should become His devotees. Manmana bhavamadbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. If you see some of the Vaishnava Sampradayas in our country today, they want to read Bhagavad Gita to become scholars of Bhagavad Gita. We aspire that we should become pure in the heart. This is what Prabhupada has taught, right? We should become pure in the heart and become dear to Krishna, surrender to Krishna, become a devotee of Krishna, not a scholar of Bhagavad Gita, scholar of Vedanta, scholar of the Upanishad. That is not the spirit of Krishna in the Gita. And in the Gita, Krishna's spirit is that this knowledge should be spread everywhere. And that spirit we see even in the Bhagavatam prayers, including the words here of the prayers of the Ritvijaha. And Prabhupada is saying here, they knew, the Ritvija, the priests knew that God is one, yet they prayed for the Supreme Lord to become the son of Maharaj Nabi, to let the world know that the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is one without a second. And this was their intent. Yes, we will do this yajna for Maharaj Nabi, and if the Lord is pleased, let Him bless him with a son who is equal to him. And we know there is no one equal to him. If He has to bless Maharaj Nabi, Lord Himself has to appear. And when the Lord appears in this world, and He will come with a certain message, He will come with a certain purpose, which is good for this world. And that's how we will see in the next chapter the incarnation of the Lord as the son of Meru Devi and Nabhi, another wonderful personality. Once again, He sets what are the standards of spiritual life in this world. So this is the spirit of the Lord, the spirit of Krishna, the spirit that is mentioned in the Bhagavatam prayers, spirit of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This was the spirit of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, a worldwide organization of devotees practicing and spreading Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada had learnt that spirit, had learnt that. Once Prabhupada was speaking to the GBCs, and he said, "Are you all convinced that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? I am convinced, and that is why I am pushing on. Are you convinced? Have you read the Bhagavad Gita? Have you read my books? Have you read carefully? Have you thought over?" Like this, Srila Prabhupada would train his leaders, that they should be convinced. And when you are convinced that this is the highest thing, you will want to share this with others. So, we see this kind of a spirit in the parampara. The parampara is bringing down the true spirit of the Lord, and Srila Prabhupada embodied that. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.